Hey, what's up, online community? And thanks for stopping by and checking out another segment of Straight No Chaser, where I talk sports and culture, often for fans and with the fans. Now, tonight I'm going to do something a little bit different. Originally, I scheduled to have about 3 or 4 guests talk about Marvel and DC movies, but I wanted to go back to my roots in Straight No Chaser, and that was when I came up with this concept about 3 years ago, and I can't believe it's been 3 years. I wanted a platform to be able to talk about my experiences, share my thoughts on different topics du jour, and to have a platform, where I could just interact with people. And one of the things that I realized is, and it's been brought to my attention, with the great quality of guests that I've been having, whether it's been ex-athletes or whether we've been talking about social issues or just sports in general, I haven't really spent enough time talking about some of my experiences, as well as answering some questions that I generally get either during our live feeds or as a follow-up in my inbox, my mailbox, my direct messages, things like that. So tonight I want to take just a brief time just to respond to some of the questions, some of the responses to previous shows, but then also some things that have gone unanswered. So tonight is going to be sort of a monologue, so to speak, as I get back to my roots and answer some of those questions that people have been posing that I haven't had a chance to really address, because again, I would spend so much time focusing on my guests and their experiences that some of these things have just kind of fallen by the wayside. So, you know how we do it. Even though I'm riding dolo tonight, and I think it's a great opportunity for me to connect with fans individually. Before we get into it, I'm about to give it to you straight, no chaser. So let me go into my mailbox, and I am going to look at some of the questions that we have here. So one of the questions that has come up, and that is, why do I not talk about women's athletics and female sports? Let me just say that, first off, there's no gender bias when it comes, at least on my part, when it comes to sports, women, girls sports, women's sports, things like that. I have 2 daughters. I encourage them to be active in sports, or just be active in general. So it's something that I have a vested interest in, because it's something that's near and dear to me. I can tell you that coming up, I have reached out to several Chicago Legends Football League players from the Chicago Bliss to do a special sit-down discussion with them to discuss kind of their experience in the Legends Football League, what it means to be a player, how COVID-19 is impacting them. So that is something that is coming down the line. I am looking, I don't want to give a date because it hasn't been confirmed, but I will be having that conversation with several members of the Chicago Bliss, as well as other female football players. So that's something. But at this point, I just haven't had those connections. So if you want me to talk women's sports, female sports, interview different people, by all means, I'm open to it. I encourage anyone that you have that you would like for me to interview them, to sit down with them as a guest on the show. By all means, send me their contact information or make that connection. I'll try to make that happen. In addition to interviewing several female football players, I'm also working on interviewing several female bodybuilders and fitness models, competitive fitness modeling. So that's something also that's coming down the pipe as well. It's looking at women as female athletes, athletics, things like that. So that's something. And I'm hoping, and I can't give her name, but I did have the opportunity to play for and meet a high-level basketball coach, Division I basketball coach last year at Team USA Fantasy Basketball Camp. I have reached out, and I'm waiting to hear back from, I can't give her name because I don't want to set that expectation if I'm not able to follow through on it. But just know that I have reached out to a high-level basketball coach, female basketball coach, to see if I can have her on the show. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping that we can get her on there. But again, if there are topics as it relates to sports, or if there are guests that you would recommend or suggest me having on the show, by all means, send me their information or see if you can make that connection, and I'm happy to have them on. So thank you for that question. Why is Straight No Chaser heavy basketball focus? Well, let me say this. Straight No Chaser The concept is discussion around sports and culture. A lot of times, oftentimes, it's topic du jour. So we kind of go with I kind of go with what's hot. Part of the reason why Straight No Chasers has been basketball heavies for two reasons. As a former basketball player and having a lot of connections in the basketball industry with former players, coaches, things of that nature. I just had those connections. It just kind of comes natural for me to text someone or send them a message out and things like that, and have them jump aboard have them jump on the show, or having connections to people to have them come on the show. So for me, it's been about connection, accessibility, and availability for me to be able to have basketball players or former basketball players on the show. But again, open to all types of conversation as it relates to Straight No Chaser. The second piece is, excuse me, everyone. I apologize. It's the wine. The carbonation of the wine is working with me. But the second piece is, as it relates to basketball, right now, and as we're having these conversations, the NBA is really the only major team sport in the United States that really has a plan moving forward and how they are going to move their product and their association forward. So with that, it's created a buzz, not just for professional basketball fans, but then also professional basketball players. Basketball players, barbershop type conversations, things like that. So that's why basketball has been sort of the focal point over the past couple of months, because, the NBA has created a buzz, and it's been a trickle down effect. We're talking about on the highest level now, guys are kind of getting that itch to go out and play. Some of the health clubs are starting to open up. I just drove through the local suburb here in Dalton. They were playing pickup games, and you've seen a lot of people starting to have conversations around that. So that's why it's been very basketball centric, so to speak. But again, we've talked baseball. Shout out to Rick Zamrin, Bob Skelton, Derek Anderson, others. We talked about baseball as it relates to basketball, and if baseball could once again become America's pastime. We have baseball fans that once baseball kind of figures out what they're going to do, because right now it just seems like every day you turn on the television, baseball, we don't know what's going on. First they're saying 60 games, 70 games, 80 games, 100 games, canceling the season. This is back and forth. So really there hasn't been a buzz, and that's not good for a sport that's been struggling to maintain their fan base and also cultivate new fans and followers. So with that, it's just baseball has been a challenge, as well as football, because again, there's no clear plan in place. I know hockey, there's been some discussion, and we will get to some of those topics as they become more relevant. But really, it's the conversation discussion revolves around the topic du jour, so to speak. Let's see what other questions I've got here. Great question. Okay. So one of the questions that has come up, am I looking to do anything, or will I do anything with sneakerheads? So I've reached out to several local Chicago gym shoe collectors, sneakerheads, so to speak, to put together a segment on the sneakerhead culture. I know it's huge in Chicago. It's huge in New York. About a year or so ago, I was in New York, and I had an opportunity to see what it looks like from a standpoint of going into this exclusive sneaker shop where shoes are starting out $300, $400, $500, all the way up to $8,000, and seeing what that's like, seeing armed security there, seeing people haggling over prices, seeing the confrontation over limited edition sneakers. So and you had Sneaker Con here in Chicago, some other things that I'm just not aware of, because I'm not into gym shoes like that. I put them on my feet, they look good, they feel good, I play good, I'm good. But this is a huge undertaking, a huge subculture, so to speak. So I am working on putting something together for sneakerheads coming up. I have reached out to several people here in the Chicago and the Midwestern area. I'm waiting to hear back from them. But sneakerhead, that is a topic that I am looking at. That's something that's going to be. I'm hoping that it's going to be electric, because these guys have thousands, and I mean thousands, tens upon thousands of dollars worth of sneakers. So we're just finalizing the dates to put that together. So yeah, absolutely. I'm going to be doing something for sneaker collectors. Who's the most interesting celebrity that I've met? Let's see. Most interesting celebrity that I've met. I have had, and I can say this, I have been blessed and fortunate to meet a number of people in a number of different circles. Athletes, entertainers. I move in a lot of different circles with a lot of different groups. Now, part of it is just being your personality, how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself, you know, just connecting with people. I've always been able to connect with people. So athletes, I mean, a lot of ball players, football players, a lot of ex-Chicago Bears I've had a chance to meet. I met Urlacher, Briggs, Alex Brown. Actually, funny story. Back in the day, there was a spot down in Division called the Leg Room. And if anyone's partied or hung out in the city of Chicago, back in the day when the Bears were relevant, Super Bowl contenders during the Urlacher Briggs era, they would go to the leg room on Sunday nights. That was their go-to spot. They would be up and down rushing division, but the leg room was the spot that they would go to. So one night, I'm going into the leg room, and that was also Sunday night was industry night. So one night I'm going into the leg room, and I'll never forget, I'm wearing a red thermal long sleeve shirt and a pair of jeans. And at that time I had short hair, waves. So as I'm walking into the leg room, out comes a guy who's wearing a red thermal shirt and jeans. So I looked at him, he looked at me. We're the same height, the same build. Lo and behold, it's Bernard Berrien, wide receiver from the Chicago Bears. So we're looking at each other, kind of give each other the nod of approval. He goes, "What's up, twin?" I'm like, "What's up, twin?" So I walk into the leg room just as he's leaving out. He's leaving, doing whatever he's gonna do. I walk in the leg room. Everybody's like, "Oh man, I thought you left. I thought you went out of here. Oh man." So I go into the VIP area, and I knew everybody in the leg room at the time. Tony, shout out to Tony Jannon, Scott Krauses. You know, they were working at the leg room. But I go into the leg room. Everybody's like showing me love again. I walk into the VIP area. They're pouring bottles, drinking, sipping. Girls are like coming at me, you know, trying to do whatever. They literally thought I was Bernard Berrien for about a good 45 minutes to an hour. So then I knew some of the people there, you know, we were chopping it up. Like, oh, you know, just having a good conversation. So I'm like, nah, you know, somebody asked me, I said, nah, my name is Stan, blah, blah, blah. But they actually let me hang out and still party with them in the VIP section of the leg room. So I'm up there hanging out. Big Cat Williams, I think, was up there. You know, we just kicked it in the VIP section. But that night, people thought I was Bernard Berrien because as he's walking out of the leg room, I'm coming into the leg room and I'm wearing the same outfit, literally. You know, but as far as like athletes and entertainers, I've hung out. A few years back, I was in Vegas. Now, anyone that knows me knows that I travel by myself sometimes. When I had the means and the support to do so, I would travel by myself. One night, I'm in Vegas. First time I'd ever gone to Vegas, I decided to go by myself. And anybody knows me also knows that I don't wait on people. So I jump on a plane, fly to Vegas. Now I'm walking in and out of nightclubs. Let me say this about being solo and not riding with a bunch of people. You can actually move and maneuver a lot better and a lot different when you ride solo dolo. So I figured this out at an early age. That's why most of the time people that know me, if you see me out by myself, it's for that reason. Well, the other reason is I don't want to be responsible for anybody's alcoholic intake because I've had that situation occur. That's not a good thing. So I'm in Vegas and I'm just chilling at the bar and I feel a tap on my shoulder. And I turn over my shoulder and I look, it's some kind of drunken white guy. It's like kind of bigger guy, but you could just tell he just rough. He had some things going on in his life. He just had that kind of rough look about him. So I looked, I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And you can look at his hands, they're kind of like manual labor, for lack of a better term, and no disrespect to those people that do manual labor, but you could tell like he had very physical hands. And I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And he goes, he has a shot glass, and he's kind of like behind the bar, roped off to the side of the bar, roped off in his own section, just standing there. And I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" He goes, "What's up, brother?" So he takes a shot or whatever. Fill the tap again. He goes, "You want a shot?" I turned around and looked. It didn't dawn on me at the time who it was. After about maybe a minute or so, it dawned on me. This is Mickey Rourke. Mickey Rourke is like trying to buy me a shot, and I'm giving him the cold shoulder. I'm brushing him off, you know, because I'm just thinking he's just some kind of drunk guy hanging out at the bar in Vegas, you know, just being a tool. And I had no idea it was Mickey Rourke. So I'm sitting there, and you know, I felt the tap on the shoulder, and after a minute or so, it dawned on me, "Hey, this is Mickey Rourke." So I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" So he pulls the rope back. He goes, come here, my friend." So he grabs me, you know, puts me in a headlock. He goes, "You drink with me tonight. You drink with me tonight." So for about 10, 15 minutes, I'm at the bar in Vegas. And we're just, me and Mickey Rourke, we're just chopping it up, doing shots at the edge of the bar. And at that point, you know, it's just like, let's just say he had a couple, and I don't like people grabbing on me and pulling on me while they're talking and stuff like that. But yeah, so that was my experience with Mickey Rourke. Like I've been to a lot of celebrity parties, a lot of NBA parties. I've had a chance to meet different ball players. I've gone to different meet and greets, but I would say that's probably the one celebrity experience. The night that Mickey Rourke wanted to buy me shots and wanted me to hang out with him in Vegas. Like I said, I just don't like people touching on me and grabbing on me and pulling on me. So that's why me and Mickey Rourke can be cool. But this was years ago, you know, but nonetheless, he was still a cool dude. Let's see. So what's been the inspiration for Straight No Chaser? So the inspiration for Straight No Chaser was at the time, it was during when number 45, we don't say his name on these airwaves, number 45 was announcing his potential run for presidency. We had the Kaepernick situation going on. We had a number of different things going on. Plus, we had some LeBron haters as he was kind of coming into his own as a player. And anyone that knows me knows I love to talk about sports. I love to talk about social issues. And I realized that I was able to captivate people through conversation. So the way that I came up with Straight No Chaser was I was sitting there with some buddies of mine at a bar. I think I might have been with Bob Skelton and some other people. But I'm sitting there and, you know, we're sitting there talking sports. We're arguing about LeBron. We're arguing about other things going on. And I said, you know what? I just gave it to you, Straight No Chaser. And everybody like raised their glass. And they was like, oh, that's kind of clever. That's kind of cool. So that's how the concept of Straight No Chaser came about. Just sitting there talking shit with some guys in the bar. When you own somebody in an argument, you know, you have to you can't drop the mic, so you just raise the glass. So I was like, you know what? I just gave it to you, Straight No Chaser. So that's how the concept of Straight No Chaser started. Now, 3 years ago, I was doing similar to what I'm doing now, just having conversations, discussing things, topics du jour, things like that. And it really was more around the controversial type of topics. Like I said, Colin Kaepernick, number 45 in his run for office, some other things that, you know, just were topics du jour. And I really realized that there was more to conversation than just the controversial topics, although those are the things that people will click on and you will get a comment. But there were other things that you could discuss that from a positive standpoint that you could share with people that they wanted to hear about. So that's when I kind of moved away from the controversial pieces to, actually, no, I'll take that back. So I moved away from the controversial pieces, and then I kind of got deterred. I allowed people to plant those negative seeds in my ear, in my head, and I started to doubt myself. So for about 2 years, I really didn't do much with Straight No Chaser. And it wasn't until COVID-19 hit that I said, you know what? Let me go ahead, or just prior to COVID-19 hitting, I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and rebrand it. Let me go ahead and kind of redefine what the narrative will be around the conversations that I have, the positive energy, the positive influences, the great experiences and guests that I can have on the show. And then that's how I got to this point. You know, so Straight No Chaser has been around for some years now, but quite frankly, I haven't done much with it. I started out just kind of doing, you know, my own thing and having conversations. And then I kind of left it. I put it on the back burner for a couple of years. And now I'm back and doing this more in full force as I've been able to engage more people and have more fruitful conversations around different experiences, but in a more positive manner. So why do I not like Michael Jordan? Oh boy, okay. I knew there'd be one. So let me say this about Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It's not that I don't like Michael Jordan. My issue with Michael Jordan are his fans. Jordan fans, and I guess you could say this about most celebrities, but it's something about Jordan fans that they seem to be the worst. Like Jordan fans, he could do no wrong. You know, the man has walked on water. He can fly. I mean, he could do pretty much anything. You cannot say anything about Michael Jordan, and it's frustrating because Michael Jordan, to me, has become more like Paul Bunyan. The further we get away from his playing career, the bigger and broader the stories are. Like, he's never missed a game when he shot. He's never missed anything. You just can't have a rational conversation with Jordan fans. So it's not that I don't like Jordan fans. It's the fact that, I'm sorry, Jordan. It's the fact that the discussions that I have with his fans, oftentimes I find myself, as people will say, coming off as a hater, because in my defense in these conversations, I find myself saying negative things about Michael Jordan. And the same thing about Kobe Bryant. You know, and it's no wonder why, because they tend to be one and the same. But it's not that I don't like Michael Jordan. I know it comes across like that. And I know sometimes I'll refer to him as number 23 from the Chicago Bulls. But it's not that I don't like Michael Jordan. It's just that, you know, Jordan fans sometimes just make you, they can be so obnoxious. It just makes you just, make you want to pull your hair out. That's why I don't have it. With that, let me also say, I have also, coming from a social service background, I have also looked at individuals that have for lack of a better term, a moral compass. Those people that use their platform for social issues, for social justice. And for me, I just didn't see that with Michael Jordan. And that was one of the challenges for me. And that was, as I got older, I loved Michael Jordan, the basketball player. But as I got older, it was tougher for me to appreciate and distinguish Michael Jordan, the basketball player, from Michael Jordan, the man. The other thing is, you hear a lot of, here in Chicago and you're in certain circles, you don't always hear the most positive things about Michael Jordan, as far as people and their experiences with him. So that's why my perception of Michael Jordan may be different than other people, might be a little skewed. It's not that I don't like the man. It's just that Jordan fans sometimes will take you there because it's like, seriously, come on, are you kidding me? And then on the flip side, you know, when you look at some of the social justice pieces, Michael Jordan just never really was there. And I felt like he could have done more to utilize his platform to bring the level of awareness or bring about change. People have always said, well, and I've had this discussion with people as it relates to Michael Jordan, and that was Michael Jordan, Michael Jordan, well, what do you want Michael Jordan to do? Give money to everybody and everything? No. Sometimes your voice can be more powerful than your currency. Sometimes your voice is your currency. I'll give you a perfect example. When there were issues around, and there still are issues around Michael Jordan's shoes and people being shot and killed for his shoes. You know, I've had this debate back and forth, and people will say, well, what do you want him to do? You know, not make money off of shoes or lower the prices? No. I understand we live in a capitalistic society. You know, by all means, if you have that ability, take advantage of it. But it's free 99. It costs absolutely nothing for Michael Jordan to come out and say, you know what? I appreciate everyone supporting my shoes. However, no one is worth losing their life over. You know, please stop the killing over my shoes, or something to that effect. You know, just a PSA. You know, hey, acknowledging, I love the fans. I love the fact that you're supporting me, but it's not worth everything that you're doing. You know, that costs nothing. And you can still maintain your image. You can still maximize on the capitalistic side of things as it relates to your goods and your product. But that never came out, you know, and I almost felt like people fed off of that, his lack of interest, his lack of engagement, and used that as an opportunity, or he might have used it, or as people use it as an opportunity to create another and high level of exclusivity with his shoes. So those are the reasons why, you know, Michael Jordan is one of my favorite people. You know, just Jordan fans, sometimes they can get on your nerves, and as well as, you know, I just felt like he could have done more with his platform, because at one point the world was his oyster. I mean, the world still is. You know, Michael Jordan could say something and get people moving. I mean, think about the Last Dance documentary. You know, even though we were COVID-19 stricken with restrictions, you know, people were rushing home just to see Michael Jordan. So he's had that platform, and I don't think that he's maximizing and utilizing like other players in the past, like Will Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali. You know, where he had that same level of pull. So that's why I have issues with Michael Jordan. Shout out to Corey Lynn. Thank you for tuning in, sweetheart. Ken Brown, Reggie Ward watching, Derek Anderson, always, DA. Man, Reggie Ward, I'm glad he's tuning in. You know, we had Frank McDaniel on about 3 weeks ago. We talked about the the Thornridge versus King state playoff game. So if you get a chance, go check that segment out. We have Frank on there, and actually, Reggie, your name came up, so Frank kind of dry snitched on you. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Who's been my favorite guest on the show? All right, so I have to say that all the guests that I've had on during COVID-19, and we've been doing it through Zoom. Before with Zoom, last summer we were doing it live at different bars, locations. We were actually going on location. Shout out Derek Anderson, David King, Arnell Francois Wright. They were coming out to different locations. Joey Double. They came out. We would talk sports. We talk culture. We talk things like that. Shout out also to Bob Skelton and Kevin Gliwa. They hosted different shows, their bars and events, things like that. It was just a great opportunity. But I can't say that I really have one favorite guest. I mean, I think each guest has probably brought something different to the table, whether it be the humorous side, whether it be the real side, whether it be sharing stories, experiences. I can't say that I have had a favorite guest. I would say that I'll break it down like this. I think the more natural conversations have been with the guys that, naturally that I know. So Ken Brown, Derek Anderson, Francois Wright, Frank McDaniel, because there's just a natural synergy and energy that we have because we communicate, we talk all the time. So you see and you get it straight, no chaser. It's like we're sitting there and we're talking on the phone, just like, so those conversations tend to be more natural. I would say that the interviews that I've had with Coach Rocky Hill and Paul McPherson, those have been really enjoyable because you hear stories, you hear rumors, you hear the folklore, the legends, but I've had the opportunity to get the information and things squared away and settled straight from the horse's mouth. Being able to get it straight from them, being able to have that conversation and really kind of delve into some of those things that people have been asking or wondering or even speculating about. I think those are some of the conversations that I found have been the most fruitful because those conversations are those are invaluable because those experiences and those stories, are almost legendary. So let me switch on real quick. Let's see. Ken Brown, great comment. If MJ played now, was asked to speak on all these shootings of unarmed black men, I'm sure he would say, police buy shoes too. He's never going to live that comment. He's never going to live the Republicans buy shoes too comment down. That's something that will forever be stained on his social justice legacy. Now he's doing much better now. He's contributing, I believe, $100 million from the Jordan brand, and also some of his personal finances to social justice issues. But for people like me, I'm saying, what took you so long? Better late than never, but what took you so long? Yeah, Derek, I agree. All MJ had to do was say something. It's free 99 to say something regarding social injustices, and he's had a platform for about 40 years now. Well, about 35. Where he could have said something. So, I agree with you. Let's see. Has there ever been a guest on the show that I did not like? No. All the guests on the show that I've met, even some that I've met briefly, during our intro, during the debriefing before we go live and have conversations, everybody has been favorable. I know that there's been some tough conversations that have had, especially as it related to social justice and the murder of George Floyd and the discussion around police brutality. Things sometimes get tense. Sometimes things can be difficult to hear. Sometimes they can be difficult to say. But all in all, I've never had a guest on the show that I didn't like or that I had a personal issue with, so to speak. Everyone has differences. If anything, being on the show and having conversations, I call it the therapy couch, because people have come on the show and they've had discussions or talked about different things that they needed to get off their chest. Like, for example, a couple of weeks ago, I had Coach Rocky Hill on, and I had to get off my chest, 30 plus years later, Coach, you cut me. And, and we shared a laugh around it because, we've had this conversation before, and then Coach was like, I don't even remember you going to Thornridge, so just drove the knife in a little bit further. we had good laughs about it. But I say all that because Frank McDaniel came on, and after 30 plus years, he shared the experience with Orange versus King, and kind of was able to work through some of that, let some of that go. So we laugh and we joke. Sometimes conversations are tense. Sometimes they're not easy, but for the most part, if we can't come to terms, we've agreed to disagree. But we try and allow people to have that conversation and work through things in a peaceful manner and a respectful point. So let's see what other questions we have. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it. Okay. What's the wildest experience I've ever had with a celebrity? Okay. So I talked about the Mickey Rourke experience in Vegas when he wanted me to hang out with him. Or not wanted me to hang out with him, but he was buying me shots and we were chopping it up. And Mickey Rourke was like pulling and grabbing on me and wanted me to hang out with him. We were hanging out behind the bar. He pulls the rope back in Vegas. I would say, and we're going way back. I went to a party I went to a party that Redman and Method Man were hosting downtown Chicago. I don't remember who I was with, but I can't remember the hotel. Was it the W? I can't remember the hotel, but Redman and Method Man were having a party, and it was. Let me just say this: it was some of the wildest shit I've ever seen. From the women to the way they were acting, and I mean, it was the guys in there. It was crazy. It was how you would picture a Method Man and Redman party at a hotel at a suite, master suite. I think it was 2 levels. That's exactly how it would be. I'm not gonna go into great detail, but that's exactly how it was. As a matter of fact, I think it was the Rottweiler. I think that was the album that they dropped, or the single or something like that, or maybe it was like a follow-up. But yeah, that was probably the wildest party I've ever been to with celebrities, because there were, you name it, your pleasure, it was there. So that was probably the craziest party I've ever been to. But again, we're talking about 10, 15 years ago. So yeah, that was probably it. I have seen athletes doing things, that athletes do, that people with money do. I'll never name names. Those things stays here. But I have seen a lot of athletes doing things. Athletes have a good time. People with money have a good time. You don't even have to be an athlete. I've been around people with money. I've been around bankers. I've been around a lot of people. I don't want to start dry snitching, but no. Been around a lot of people, and people with money have fun. I've had fun with some of those people with money having fun. So, but that's straight no chaser. Let's see, what other questions do we have? All right. Great question. So, if I robbed the bank, and shout out to my man Ken Brown, one of the funniest cats I know. If I rob the bank, who's gonna snitch first if they see me? Or if they see me robbing the bank, who's snitching first? Tekashi 6ix9ine or Michael Jordan? Oh, bro, I think they're going in together. I think they're going in together. I think they're going into the police station together. Like, hey, we got something we want to tell you. That's how I think they're coming in. So, yeah, the snitch code. There is no limits to what Tekashi would do. I guess I don't know the man. I just know through what I've seen through the media and social media, things like that. So they're saying Tekashi 6ix9ine is a snitch. I don't know him, so it's whatever. But MJ, yeah, he put his teammates out there on blast. In the Last Dance, that was bogus how he did. Scott Burrell talking about the women that he's with, and he coming in, smelling like alcohol, and he hadn't been home, been in all night. So he was out there a little foul, a little bogus. So yeah, he did put him out there. Let me see, what other questions do we have out there? Let me go into my mailbox. Is there a celebrity that I'm looking to have on? So I've reached out to a number of different athletes and a couple of high-level entertainers. I have reached out to them. I have gotten preliminary responses, understanding that, with me starting out and these people, get requests to do podcasts, to do shows, appearances, things like that all the time. They're very protective of their brand. They're very protective of their image. So they want to, in some instances, they want to see how this goes. They want to see what other people are on the show, kind of the level of credibility that I bring to the table, things like that before they make a commitment to it. So I get that. And again, you know, it's me taking a shot in the dark. Hey, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So when I reach out to some of these people, some of these people are people that I already know, and some of them are just people that I've just sent an email or sent a direct message to, and they'll say, you know, let me get back to you, or you know what, let's chop it up and we'll see. I've only gotten one hard no that they wouldn't appear, but other people, it seems as if one or two things: they're either looking for a soft landing, or they want to see how things go before they commit to jumping on the show and being a part of the show. And I get it. They want to manage their brand. They want to protect their brand. So I'm fully aware of that. But I have reached out to some very high-level celebrities and entertainers through both personal connections and also just through cold outreach to have them on the show. I'm hoping that a couple of the people will get back to me this week, and I'll be able to have it set up. I know I'm booked out for the next roughly 2.5 weeks with different guests, but if I have to move some things around, I'm definitely going to be moving some around. I don't want to put their names out there because, again, I haven't gotten a confirmation from them, and I just think it would be irresponsible for me to put their names out there, attach their name to something, and then next thing you know, I'm on TMZ. Well, hell, if I make it to TMZ, I guess I kind of made it. But I don't want to be on TMZ or anything for the wrong reason. You know, I want to go about this the right way. You know, oftentimes these people have people, and they got to talk to people. And so, but yeah, I have reached out to a number of different athletes and entertainers, some high-level athletes and entertainers too, to see about having them come on the show. So crossing my fingers. Let's see. Ooh, Ken Brown, great question. Who are my top female athletes that I would want on the show? So one person that I want to have on the show, and she's not even an athlete. No, actually there are two. We're talking about female sports personalities. Ken, I'm gonna change your question around. Two female sports personalities that I would love to have on the show. I would love to have Sarah Spain and Jamil Hill. I want to have Jamil Hill on the show because I want to have a conversation because I can appreciate Jamil Hill's progression, her progression and transition as a person, as a sports personality to an iconic influencer. Jamil Hill started out as a journalist. She went to ESPN. When she went to ESPN, I know she and Michael Smith, they had their show, and you know they were able to weave a lot of social issues, a lot of social things into their show. And it's unfortunate that for whatever reason the show is no longer. There's all types of speculation out there, but for whatever reason the show is no longer with us. I think it was called His and Hers. But she's used her platform to talk about these social justice and issues from a sports standpoint, and now she's transitioned to just being an iconic influencer among a lot of different topics, primarily around social issues, but also she still has her sports roots. That's someone I would definitely love to have on the show, Jamil Hill. And Sarah Spain. If I'm not mistaken, Sarah Spain has Chicago roots, and I would love to be able to connect with Sarah Spain and have her come on to talk about her experience as a female sports personality, some of the ups and downs of what that looks like, because it's different. The female experience as a sports personality is a lot different from the male experience as a sports personality. Some of those challenges and hurdles, but then also how she is an inspiration to young girls in the sports world. So those are definitely two sports personalities that I would love to have on the show. As it relates to female athletes, I would love to have Gabby Douglas. Now that's pie in the sky. You know, I don't even have a sponsor, let alone being able to pay to get Gabby Douglas. You know, I'm still drinking straight no chaser, you know, out of my cocktail glass. I'm drinking wine out of cocktail glasses, so you know I'm on a budget. So, but I would love to have Gabby Douglas. My daughter's a huge Gabby Douglas fan. She was one of the reasons why my daughter got into gymnastics, and having Gabby Douglas on the show, being able to share her story, I think that would be tremendous. She's definitely a person. And then also Elena Delle Donne. Elena Delle Donne is one of my favorite basketball players of all time. Forget male or female. She is an excellent basketball player. She's a hooper. She's a ball player. You know, she's one of the few that I think that if, you know, she was in the NBA, she could score buckets in the NBA. She may not be the same player and have the same level of success as she does in the WNBA, but I think that she could have the same level of success. I'm sorry, I think that she could play for an NBA team. She's just that good. But I think that her story, as it relates to her sister and the challenges that her sister has gone through, and what she is doing, and how she has been supportive of her sister as a basketball player, both in college as well as in the WNBA. I think that'd be a great story to share, because I don't think that everyone understands, kind of really what goes off the court stuff that goes into being a professional athlete. Excuse me. In her case, a ball player, and the sacrifices that she made because her family, is so near and dear to her. But those are two that I would love to have on the show. So if you got a Gabby Douglas Poole, or Elena Del Don, love to have them on the show. I love to have WNBA players as well, just in general. I'm a person that goes to WNBA games. I try to make it to a couple games a year. Also have gone to a Legends Football League game. Funny story. So last year I go to the Legends Football League, and if you're not familiar with the Legends Football League, it was formerly the Lingerie Football League. They changed the name to Legends Football League, and so with that, the women, they play basically in bikinis, shoulder pads, and they had this like rugby style helmet, not rugby, lacrosse, like these hockey style helmets that they put on. And the first thing you think is, okay, these are attractive women playing football. And then you go and you watch the game, and I'm sitting there front row with this guy. I'm like, what the Waka Flocka Flame? I mean, seriously, these women are out for blood. They play, it's a very physical game. If you've never been to the Chicago Blitz game, do yourself a favor and go. The first thing you're going to think is, oh, tits and ass. Excuse my English, tits and ass. But really, it is highly competitive football. These girls can throw, these girls can catch, they talk trash. One of my girls plays on the team, and she got into it. I just knew she was going to get kicked out of the game because she was talking so much trash and scuffling with people. It's intense. So, funny story. I'm driving Uber. This is like a year, 2 years ago. Driving Uber, and a guy, I take him out there, and his buddies bailed on him. So he's like, hey bro, I got these extra tickets. You want to check out the game? So I'm like, sure, cool. So I go in there, and we're sitting like right there. It's like imagine a hockey rink, but artificial turf. So you've got the board around the field, but it's like AstroTurf. So I'm thinking, okay, girls football, I'm not gonna lie, I was there more so for the eye candy. You got me. But then when they started playing, man, these girls can play. These girls can, like, they hit, they physical, they like I said, they talking trash, they sticking people. My girl D, she was about to get kicked out the game. She was going after one girl so hard. I mean, it's something to be seen. But all that to say, I'm working on getting some of those players to come on the show and share their experience, because it's something that's still relatively new. They've got teams in Atlanta, New Jersey, or Philadelphia, Chicago, Houston. So Legends Football League, they do have women's football teams around the country. And I think they play here in Chicago. They might have like 3 or 4 home games, things like that, plus playoffs. But if you haven't gone to a Legends football game and you want to support women's sports, it's also another good sport to go and check out, because it's a lot of fun. So that was that. Let's see. WNBA games. Definitely go to WNBA games. I like to be supportive of all sports. I'm a sports junkie. About the only one that I can't do, and I've tried it, because I'll try anything once, is hockey. Hockey is just one of those sports that just doesn't appeal to me. I try to understand it. And I was told, as a black man, here's what will help you in hockey. I'm gonna put brothers on game. Brothers, if you go into hockey, you don't need to know the rules. All you need to know are 3 things. You have to yell 3 things: icing, line change, and come on, ref. That's all you need to yell in a hockey game. So watch this. Here's how it goes. Oh, come on, ref. Icing. Oh, what are you doing, coach? Line change. You say those 3 things, no one, I repeat, no one will look at you sideways, because you sound like a hockey fan. You're welcome. I just put y'all up on hockey game. So, no hockey, well, you know what? Hockey, yeah, okay, Frank, hockey can be great. It's just not my sport, and I'm pretty open-minded. But if you want to go to a game, Frank, I will yell icing, I will yell line change, and I will yell, come on, ref, what are you doing? Don't worry, I got you. I'm a chameleon, and I can blend in. So, Frank, I'll go with you. You just let me know, and I'll be there late. Also, I have not been to a Wolves game. Now, I hear that the Wolves experience is something that a lot of people enjoy. Again, not being a hockey person, I would go for the experience, not necessarily for the sport, but I would be open to it. So, let's see. Let me go into my inbox. No, we've got some other questions. And thank you for everybody for tuning in. Like I said, with the concept of Straight No Chaser, this was the original format, being able to have these one-on-one conversations. And then as I started to involve guests and things of that nature, it kind of took on a life of its own. But I wanted to use this opportunity. I rescheduled my Marvel DC conversation so I could have this conversation with people and get to some of those questions, get to some of those things that I hadn't gotten to during some of my previous interviews, and just have this one-on-one dialogue time with you guys. So great, it's great for me to connect. Let me go into my inbox. Have I ever been awestruck by a celebrity or entertainer? Yes. So I've told this story. This is the Kobe Bryant story. I'm at Elton. Was it Elton Brand's birthday party? I think it was Elton Brand's birthday party here in Chicago. And we got there's ball players from all over. I think it was at Joe's on Wheat Street. I think it was at Joe's. Excuse me. So there's ball players from all over here in Chicago. Now, I'm in the VIP section. And believe me, I was able to talk about. I'm pretty good at talking my way into VIP areas and things like that. The other thing too is, when you know people in the industry, they always look out for you. So I'm in the VIP section. I leave the VIP section to go back. To go to the washroom. On my way back, there's a wall of people, probably about 50, 60 people trying to get into the VIP section because you got all these ball players. So I can't get back. And it's just everybody's ass to ass, pushing up against each other, trying to get in the VIP section. So all of a sudden I hear, make a hole, make a hole. Big guy comes through with a flashlight, and all of a sudden I just see like this 6'6" guy, and this when I think Kobe had to throw there. And I just see this guy kind of walking through, bobbing, and pause. Got to say pause when you tell the story. Pause. I'm sitting there walking, and I see the silhouette. And you hear, Charlie Murphy talking about Rick James's aura. So I see this silhouette, and all of a sudden it's like this aura, and this guy just kind of walking through in slow motion and just had his hand in his pocket, and he's bobbing his head to the music. Like literally everything felt like it was in slow motion. So maybe about 30 seconds in, they finally push people, and the guy's walking through, and they're escorting Kobe Bryant in. Now, that's the only time I've ever been awestruck. And I've met ball players, and I've hung out with ball players, this and the other. But Kobe Bryant's aura and his vibe, man, I was just like, first, and again, pause, Kobe, the way he moved, the way he carried himself, I was like, man, that's that dude. That is that dude. I mean, he was just, and he had on like this crushed velvet, again, pause. He had this crushed velvet jogging suit on. He just had his hand in his pocket. He was just kind of bopping to the music in slow motion. I'm like, that's Kobe freaking Bryant, and side note, I never got back in the VIP section. It was just too many people, and it was crazy. But yeah, man, I would have to say that's probably the one celebrity or one basketball player. And I've met Shaq. I met, all types of ball players, ex-ball players, Kevin Durant, AI. But Kobe Bryant was the one that I was awestruck over, just the way he moved and the way his vibe and his aura and everything. Pause. But yeah, that was one. As far as entertainers, so again, there was a place called Cairo. It's right off of Wells and Orleans, between Wells and Orleans. I can't think of the new club that it is now. But it's right there off of Wells and Orleans, around the corner from Spy Bar now. But it used to be called Cairo. So there's a big party out there. And again, we're talking years and years and years ago. Probably like 20 years ago. No, what's that about? It hasn't been that long. So Gary Payton is there. David Wingate is there. Glenn Robinson was there, Ray Allen. So yeah, this is a long time ago because the names I'm giving. And my guy Dre, who was working there, you know, he would work with a lot of different celebrities and entertainers when they would come in. So Drake, you know, he'd tell me like, oh, such and such is here. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, just so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to some girls, or whatever, and I've got my back and I feel like people pushing me, you know, like they were trying to clear people out. So this so how'd it go? Oh, so I turn around to see what's going on, and I look, and no, was this? I don't know. No, I don't know if this is the Gary Payton David Wingate party. Whatever party it was Ray Allen there, Glenn Robinson was there. I don't know if this is the same one with Gary Payton and David Wingate, but I know Glenn Robinson was there, Ray Allen, some other guys. So as I feel this push, I turn and look, and it's Jay-Z. Jay-Z is sitting there, and he's got like this black T-shirt on, big ass chain, and he's got a New York hat pulled down, his cocked to the side. And you know, when I first looked at him over the shoulder, it's like maybe two, like behind me, but two people over. I'm like, damn, dude look like Jay-Z. And then sure enough, you know, you look, you're like, damn, that is Jay-Z. So I'm looking, and you know, it's like all these girls danced around him and danced in front of him or whatever. But yeah, Jay-Z, and you know, you kind of want to ask for autograph, but then you kind of shouldn't because you look dumb, you look crazy. They gonna look at you like the Cookie Monster, and then you got, you know, then you got to suck it up because you know they're gonna front you off. And you gotta but nah. Jay-Z was one because, you know, at the time he was hot. You know, he just dropped, I think, like his first album or something like that. But yeah, Jay-Z, that was someone I actually wanted to go up to and meet. It's funny because my friend Deion Cole tells a story about how he was at a Def Jam party, him and one of the other boys, Reggie, and he was at the Def Jam party, and Jay walked in with his entourage, this and the other. And long story short, you know, later on in the evening, he wanted to take a picture with Jay, and Jay kind of fronted him off, you know. So and Deion is, you know, he's plugged, you know. So imagine who my little self, you know, trying to, you know, get a picture with Jay-Z. And like I said, the name of the club I think was Cairo, something like that. But it was between Orleans and Wells, right around the corner from Spy Bar, on the back of Coupe. But yeah, that was one guy that. That's how I was awestruck when I saw him. Kobe Bryant, athlete-wise, Jay-Z, celebrity-wise. Yeah. Let me see. Would I go to NASCAR? And if I did, would I go by myself? So my younger brother, shout out to Lawrence, went to Indy 500 about 5 or 6, maybe a little bit longer than that. Went to Indy 500. And to be honest with you, he said it was one of the best times that he had. He was in the pit. He was able to hang out. You know, he said it's like a big party. You know, it's just a big party. People are kicking it, drinking, dancing, having a good time. So that's actually on my bucket list: the Indy 500, the NCAA Final Four, and the Super Bowl. But I would go to NASCAR. I go by myself. Of course, I'm gonna be smart about it. I'm gonna make a business decision. I'm probably not gonna wear Black Lives Matters T-shirt just to start some stuff. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, I definitely go to NASCAR. You know, after a while, I probably get bored. Like, okay, why does everybody keep going left? You know, like, oh, here they go, they're coming left again, and another left, and another left. You know, after a while, I can see myself getting bored. So if I would do it, I'd do it like my younger brother Larry did, and that would be to go into the pit and party and stuff like that. If I were to go, Kentucky Derby is also something that I don't know how I feel about that. I kind of want to go, but then I kind of feel like Black people that go to the Kentucky Derby are on display more like trophy pieces, or I don't know. I'm still mixed about it. I know it's a status thing, but Kentucky Derby is something, you know, that I thought about as well. So let me see. I think I've gone through all the questions in my inbox. Let's see. I know you guys have been really good. Ken has been good about asking questions. Derek's been good about popping in and asking questions. You know, shout out to Frank for his hockey synopsis and the fact that that he's gonna try and work with me on the hockey games. Frank, I'll go with you. You know, we'll go have some beers, eat some. I don't eat hot dogs, but Polishes or Italian beats or something like that. We'll have a good time with it. But again, I wanted to break format for what I've been doing to go back to the roots of Straight No Chase, and that is just talking, answering questions, having some good discussions with people, sharing some stories. Anybody that's ever been out with me, or anybody that's ever partied with me, or anybody that's ever hung with me, I'm not making this up. As a matter of fact, I'm holding back. There's a lot of stuff, don't ask, don't tell, or those who know, don't tell, and those who tell, don't know. That I have seen a lot, but again, I protect the privacy of others, because a lot of those things, it's part of the code. But, I've had some wild experiences. I've seen a lot. I wish there's more that I could share, but, with that, you also have to know and respect those boundaries. If you have any questions that you'd like for me to answer, I'll probably look to do this a little bit more often. But if there's questions that you want to ask me, please feel free to text me if you got my phone number, or send me a message in my inbox. If there are people that you'd like to see on the show, shoot me a message. I'll reach out to them, or I may have a connection. If you have a connection that you'd like for me to have on the show, that you think they'll be a good fit, by all means, make that connection, reach out, because I would love to diversify the topics, diversify the group. Even though I'm here in the Midwest, I've had people from across the country. Just a couple weeks ago, I had a group from Miami. We talked sports. When I did my town hall discussion regarding police and community relations a couple weeks back, I had people from, the Southwest, the Midwest, the Southeast, the North, so all over. So this is not just a Chicago thing. This is a people thing. So I want to make sure that people are reflected. The representation is equitable. While again, I'm here in Chicago, but I want this to be something that people can look at and tune in from a national perspective and say, hey, you know what, I can relate to that. Because these are things that we can talk about that are happening across the country, whether it be social issues or sports related issues. One question I did not get to, and I will just say this before I end, and that is my thoughts on COVID-19 and how that's been handled. I want to say that I'm very thankful to be here in Illinois. I know there's been a lot of pushback because there's been some of the most restrictive guidelines in the country, but also looking at some of the other states that weren't as restricted, some of the other states that loosened up too soon. Now there's a regression, and now they're having to close things back down. Just want to say that I'm thankful for, the area that I live in, the state that I live in, and how it's been handled. And while it's been an inconvenience, it's also provided peace of mind, safety, and security. I've been tested 2-3 times for COVID-19, antibody tests, things like that. And it's come back negative. I've minimized my movement and my interactions with people. And while it's been an inconvenience, I'm still here to talk sports, talk culture with you. So if you haven't done so, I encourage everyone, especially in high dense areas, in the African American community and the Hispanic community, because those seem to be the heaviest hit. I encourage everyone to go get tested. There are plenty of free testing stations around the city, around the suburbs, around the state, where you can get tested. And it only takes a minute. So by all means, make sure it's safety first. And again, thanks everybody. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for your continued support. And be on the lookout for upcoming guests. We're going to be talking Marvel versus DC movies. I'm going to be talking to sneakerheads. I've got some female football players that I'm going to be looking to have conversations with, as well as some other personalities that I've got in the works that I can't share it with right now because they haven't confirmed. But exciting things are going to be coming up with Straight No Chase, and I appreciate everyone's continued support. So thank you all, and everyone stay safe and be blessed.